Good morning, friends. Cheryl here with inkedpulp, and we are going to do something fun today. We're going to play with some making some jewelry, beaded journal jewelry. So we'll wait for a few people to come in. This is kind of blurry. Let's get it a little unblurry, maybe. It keeps blurring. I'm not sure what that's about. But these are actually some earring dangles that I had from years. Like this one is one of the first things I ever did, like back in 2011, 2010. Um, and I just have one left. I took the ear wire off. Isn't that cute? Little guy. There he is. So he's cute. And then this is an earring dangle that I had. I hammered out. This is nickel silver. This is not real silver. But it's got all these little charms hanging off of it that could be taken off and used by themselves. But I've got them hanging from this. And then this was a little earring dangle that I had in yellow and silver. This is actually an enameled, it was a pendant, but it didn't sell. And so I thought, well, why not make it into some journal jewelry? We could hang it and let it hang down from, um, from a chain or a bulb pin or something like that. So I don't have anybody else in here just yet. So I am waiting. I think we've got one person in here. I want to wait for a little bit. So we did a craft and grab last night. If you all missed it, let me show you some of the things that we did. And the craft and grab was all about colorizing your image, your stamped images. So here's a dragonfly that we did. And the wings, we put some Wink of Stella on there so they're nice and shimmery. This was a floral stamp. And actually, Jess won the drawing, and so this is going to her. Again, the craft and grab is where we craft, and at the end of the session, you get to enter a drawing to win one of the things that we made. So this is another thing that it was just a little barn door thing. And what I'm going to do is cut this out, and I want to take a little horse's head and put it, sticking just out over this. I think this is the whole door, but it could be just a window in a barn. So I'm going to stick a horse's head hanging out over this, and I think that'll be really cute. This was something I was just playing with. It's just kind of junky paper with colors all over it, and I stamped an image and then colored it in. And I think, to tear that out to put on a cluster or something, that would be really fun. This one was, I guess that's a rose. This is an orchid color with green. And again, that's just a little stamp that we colored in. This one, I stamped, and I took my shimmery paints and mixed them with some gesso. So they got kind of muted in color and, and more opaque. And then I did this little border stamp. This is with the shimmery paints. They were the twinkling H2Os. I just colored in some balloons and made a little balloon. This is one of my favorites. This is also the twinkling H2Os. You could do that with watercolor too, but see how shimmery it is? So it was just a butterfly stamp, and we took a bunch of colors, and well, actually I did this before we went live, so that was that. And then I did the hearts with kind of the lighter colors in the middle. That's a piece of blank paper. This one I colored all in the back, and I used the, these are the color bursts. You could use Brush-Os, anything like that. And I colored the paper, and then I stamped the stamp over it to give it some color for the background. This one is similar. It's the same stamp, but this one I used watercolors. So I wet the paper really well, and then I put down some blue and some purple, and then sort of blended them in the middle. And that was over the top of the stamp. And that's all I did last night. So we had a lot of fun last night looking at all these different ways to color in stamps. I've got two here. Where are all our folks? Yesterday, if you remember, we made these cardboard pieces. The only thing I did is I added a piece of twine down here at the bottom. I originally had it at the top, but that made it really top heavy because I have the, the word, the lace, and the heart, and that's all sort of towards the top. So putting twine up there made it really top heavy. So I moved the twine down here to the bottom, but I think it just gives it that little extra something. So that's what I did on yesterday's piece. And who's here? I'm surprised we don't have any more. It's only 8:34, I guess. Oh, there's Mike. You missed yesterday, Mike. We had a fun grungy day. I was working with the cardboard, and I made these two. This is a little pocket in here, but we used the grungy cardboard piece. I have a whole bag of those. And then we made this one with the little girl and her dog and friends and some lace, and then I put some twine down here at the bottom. So those are fun. I don't know where everybody is. The bloodhound and the child. I know. Isn't that just the sweetest? So today we're going to play with jewelry for journals. And I'm not sure where everybody is this morning, but I'm going to go ahead and start. And I'm going to use copper wire. This, I don't have a gauge on it. I could get my calipers out, but it's not that important. I think it's 24 gauge, which is a decent gauge to, especially if you're new to all of this, because it bends really easily. Making a set of dapping and doming blocks. Ooh, I'd love to see those. Of course, I've got a lot of dapping blocks, but you may make something one of these days that I'll just have to have. I've got these two little copper pieces that I hammered on to give them a lot of texture, and they've just been sitting for years in a box, so they're pretty crusty. But what I'm going to do is take some real fine steel wool, and I'm going to clean some of that crust, not all of it. But if your pieces don't have any sealant on them, they're just raw copper, you can take, oh, beechwood. I have one wooden dapping set that I use all the time because my metal one has real small but deep holes in it, where the wooden one, they're out a little farther, so I can make some. So even little pieces like this I do in my wooden. All right. So it just gives them a little more shine. They'll darken up again over time, but see how crusty it is on the back? So Mike, where are all our ladies this morning? I'm just going to shine them up a little. All right, so I've also got some jump rings right here, some bulb pins, and then I've got a whole bunch of spacers and little copper pieces. And then I've also got loads of beads. I mean, these are all just different beads. And then I have another container. I put the camera down low. They're all having a lie-in. You mean sleeping in? Sleeping late? Well, sound the horns. Tell them to get their butts out of bed. It's time to come to Art for breakfast. So I've got all of these, and these little glass pieces I plan to make jewelry out of. But I've got some buttons in here and lots of fun beads, some pieces that I've enameled, a heart. I don't know. I've got all kinds of things in here and some other really thin wire. So for those of you who don't know, that when you're buying wire, the larger the number, the thinner the wire. So this is 20 gauge, which is, it's standard what you use for ear wires. The little starfish is nice. You mean, no, not that. Oh, in the other box. Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of those. So this is 20 gauge. This is 28 gauge. And if you look, you can see how tiny thin this is. I mean, it's really thin. And it's probably too thin for a dangle because it could break too easily. Here's a 26 gauge, which is a little thicker than the 28, because remember, the smaller the number, the thicker the wire. So 26 is a little thicker. Then I think what I have out is 24, and this is 20, which is even thicker. And you can use 20 gauge. It's just, oh, there we go. This little starfish. We'll use him. I've got a whole strand of that kind of stuff. This is probably too thick for journal jewelry. I mean, you could use it, but it would be hard, especially if you're just starting out. So let's make some stuff. Now, you can use head pins. And a head pin has, look at all these little pieces. I have more starfish. And I have turtles. You could do a beachy one with a turtle and the starfish. Head pins are like a little straight needle with the flat top on the head, only they're not pointed. They're, oh, we could do those too. And put a little, couple of beads in between them. And so when you put the bead on, that little, oh, hey, Mimi, Cheryl, good morning, Mike. Where is everybody? Mimi, is everybody sleeping in? Mike thinks everybody's sleeping in. So the head pin has a little flat part that stops the bead from going through, right? So when you slide it down on there, you can use those, and you can buy them. If you just Google on Amazon, you can find head pins, silver, copper, brass. You can find black. You can find all different sizes. So I'm going to use these. So we're going to use a starfish, a turtle, and then I'm going to put a couple of these beads in here. Yeah, we missed you yesterday. What happened? Well, I'm prying. I don't need to know what happened. I am not going to use head pins because I want to show you how to do your own. Okay, so I'm just going to cut a piece of copper wire. And there are several things you can do at the end. What I like to do, now you could put this in a flame if you're used to working with metal and melt that, hold a flame over that, and it'll melt it into a ball. and that ball will hold, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take my round pliers and I move this down close so that you guys can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to take them right at the tip and I'm going to curl it over till I make, hang on, let me do this and I'll show you. I'm just going to put it right at the tip and roll it till I get this little pea shape. Oh no. Okay, Big Mama. Sorry, Mimi. I always do that. I call you each other's names. All right, and then once you have that little pea, we're going to grab it by the end and just twist that wire around until we make a decent sized little spiral. Okay. Then once we have the spiral, and you can see it there, when I slide a bead down on that, it's going to hold it. But now that wire is kind of coming out the side and we want this centered. So I'm just going to take and hold my spiral and bend this up. I'm just going to bend the wire up, and since it's 24 gauge, it's really easy to bend. But you see now how the spiral is coming out. Come on. Hey, Carol. We're making journal jewelry, if I can ever get it to focus. Come on. Show me the spiral. Well, it just does not want to focus. Lordy, have I said lately how I hate this camera. I got to get on the ball and order my new one. Well, I can't get it to focus, but it's a spiral, so we'll make more. And so now on that spiral, I'm going to slide the jellyfish. Now, I could make a loop at the top and just let him hang, and we'll do that with another one. And then I'm going to put a bead on top of that. Now you can see the spiral. And then I'm going to put a little copper something something. Hang on a second. There's a little copper spacer. It's just a little round spacer. Actually, this looks like brass. That's okay. So we'll put that in the middle of those two brown beads, or kind of orangey beads that we have. And then we'll put the turtle on. Okay. How's that dangling from a beach journal? Isn't that cute? What do you guys think? You like it, Mike? I can't get it to focus on that spiral. It just does not want to focus. Oh, hi, Susan. Now, let me show you how to finish off a loop. And you have to play with this and practice, but you need some either just straight flat nose pliers. I like these bent nose because I can really get in there. I like the bent nose pliers. And you need some round pliers. And I use 2 pair of the bent nose. So what I'm going to do is go out to the very tip of that bent nose. Okay, I'm holding it right at the very tip, and I'm going to push that wire over. Don't worry about which way. Oh, hi, Barbie. Don't worry about which way you're pushing it because you can turn it around. Now, what I'm going to do is take the end, however big I want my loop. I don't need it very big. And I'm going to put it in between. Hang on a second, let me show you. Have you guys ever done this before, make loops in a wire? So right where that bend is, I'm going to put, ouch, I just pinched myself. I'm going to put the round nose pliers in there. I have all the wire stringing beads, clasps, all from my mother. Oh, so you can do this. So you just put that in there, and then this tail is hanging out. You're going to pull that tail back over the top of the pliers. Okay, now you can't pull it back under because the bottom part of the pliers is there. So you have to rotate the pliers so the bottom is at the bottom, and then you keep pulling that tail all the way around. And when you take the pliers out, you have formed a loop. You see that loop? Now, it's a little loose on here. It's a little wiggly, and that we need for wrapping. So what I'm going to do is take my pliers and I'm going to grab that loop right at the top, but still leave, whoops, right at the top, but still leaving that tail out so I can grab it and pull it around. Oh my gosh, I hate this camera. Okay. Never made loops, so we're going to make several of them today, so you'll see. All right, now you can just take your fingers and wrap it around. I like a real tight loop, so I grab a pair of pliers and you just start wrapping it around that stem wire until you get right down to the bead. And these are tightened up, so you can't move these up and down anymore. Okay, we'll do another one here in a second. So now, and then you can straighten up your loop if it got kind of wonky. Now you still got this tail end hanging off here. See how I wrapped it around there, but I've got a tail end. So I'm going to take my wire cutters and I'm going to put it in there as close as I can get it to that wrapped part and then cut it off. And then the last thing, there will be a little tiny, it's hard to see on this one, there will be a little tiny tail sticking out. Just take your pliers and squish it in. And by the way, my fingers are all stained and nasty because last night we were coloring stamped images and I got ink all over me. Then when it's all done, you just sort of move it around until you get it where you like it. And you can twist these so they're going the right way. And then on this one, if it's still too bottom and tighten up this spiral. First piece, and we'll do another one so you guys can see. There's our first piece. We've got the spiral at the bottom, holding it on, and then that wire just goes up through the beads. Oh yeah. With this little wire, you can't make anything too elaborate because it's real thin, but it's real easy to work with, especially if you're new. So again, I would recommend 24 or even 22 gauge wire. Just buy craft wire at the, Michael's or someplace like that. Don't, like, I would never use my sterling wire on this. So there's our first piece of junk or journal jewelry. And we could just hang that with a bulb pin or a jump ring. I'll just put a little jump ring on there. And everything I'm using today is copper. You could use silver, brass, bronze, black, any color findings that you want. And if you want to get real inexpensive stuff, oh, hey, Big Mama, we're making journal jewelry. I'm going to put black on this. So I put a little jump ring, and now I'm going to put a bulb pin on it. I'll probably put bulb pins on all of my pieces today, just so they have it. But there you go. There's our little dangle. Wouldn't that be fun on a beach journal? Starfish and a little turtle. All right, let's make something else. What color? Somebody holler out a color for me. I've got wood beads. I've got all different colors. I've got all metal. Hey, Susan and Big Mom, I think I said hi, but you're writing. Well, you can always come back and watch this. And there are a ton of videos online about wire wrapping. Purple. Okay. Let's find some purple. Here's a little purple button we could use. And here's a light purple little cut glass bead. And I don't think that's purple. I think that's blue. Oh, maybe it is purple. No, it's blue. Okay, let me look at my other box. I'm not seeing a ton of purple in here. But I have more, never fear. Okay, let's look in this box and see what we have. Oh, that's a cabochon. That's for a ring or something. Really? Seems like I don't have a lot of purple in this stuff. Can we mix it with another color? Because I've got a couple of purple pieces here. We could do purple and pink, maybe? I've got a little... Yes to the button. Yay. Okay, so how about some pink with that purple? Or blue? Or green? Get this little bag open. How about those three pieces? I have got so much stuff in here. Ooh, look at that green druzy. Isn't that fun? That's also for like a necklace or a ring. It's a green stone where the inside started growing. That looks like pyrite to me. Oh, I have so many things. I just... don't know what to do with them all. Green and purple. Okay, we can do green and purple. I definitely have green. Not as much of the purple. Oh my gosh, that's a petersite. That's a cool stone. I have so much stuff. More green in the other. Look at these. Look at these lampwork beads. Aren't those gorgeous? Now, I wouldn't use those in journal jewelry because because that's way too expensive. Oh, I have this purple piece too. So we have that, and then, and this one will hang that way. We have that, and then I have these little green beads. That's the same as this one. Oh, different color, different shade of green. Let's see if I have any open. How do you like that as a dangle? I know, look at this. These are all just... it's red. All right, well, let's start making this one. Now, again, I'm using 24 gauge wire, and I'm just going to cut off a piece. And this time, instead of making a spiral at the bottom, let's make a triangle. So I'm just going to take my pliers. Actually, these are better. I'm just going to take my pliers kind of up here at the top, and I'm going to bend down. And then I'm going to bend again until I make that into a triangle. Okay, so I just need to pull these pieces over. Okay, see how that's a triangle? And I'm going to go around one more time because we want it to be really strong. So I'm going to make it a double triangle. And I'm just going around and bending that wire. And then you can always reposition it and fiddle with it as you need to. I mean, you could go around a third time if you wanted to. But I'm just going to do this twice. All right, so I've got that. And again, this wire is coming up the side. And I want it, oh, excuse me. I want it to come out the top, right? So I want to bend that wire up a little bit so that it comes out the top. So when we put the beads on, it'll go right down the middle. So there we go. There's a little triangle. And all I did was bend that wire around. And let's see, what were we going to put on the bottom? This one. Okay. Now I'm going to do some later where I wrap them all separately. But for right now, I'm going to put them all on one. And I'll show you how I'm going to wrap that button. I like these colors. Oops, let me get up here in camera. So there they are, green and purple. Now, for the button, I'm going to put it on here, but I don't want it like that. I want it to be up like this. Right? So what I'm going to do is wrap it back down through the bottom hole. We're just going to make it fit the way we want it. Okay, once you get it laying the way you want, I'm going to wrap. So you see there's a piece of wire coming up and then down through here. So I am going to, whoops, it's too far up. I've got this, oh, it's because I messed up my, all right, I'm going to take this and wrap it around a couple of times and then back up through the top again. So I just made a framework to hold that in place, and then look at that. Now, the pressure we put on wrapping that pushed that little triangle out of shape, so we're just going to put it right back in place. Squeeze it together if you need to make it a little narrower. But now we do the same thing that we did before. So now we've got this dangle. And again, I'm going to take, hey Penny, I'm going to take this, actually, nope, I'm going to take it just as is. I'm going to take it and put it, you know, at the very tip of my pliers and make a 90-degree turn. Okay, and that's the wire coming out of the top. Then I'm going to take my round nose pliers and put it right in that 90-degree turn. Okay, that I'm putting the pliers right in there with the top loop at the top of it and the bottom loop. So you see how that's at that 90-degree angle there? Come on. You see how that is? And then I'm just going to pull the wire back and around as far as I can go. But then again, that bottom jaw of the plier is in the way of me going all the way around. So I'm going to rotate it up. So now I have just the bottom jaw there and go back around. Actually, I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. All right. So there's our loop. There's our loop with our tail sticking out. And we've got this little straight wire going up. And again, all I'm going to do, take my pliers and I'm going to hold on to that loop at the top. Okay, I'm just holding on to the loop. Oh, come on. There we go. So I'm holding on to the loop and you can see this little wire is coming underneath. And again, because this is thin wire, I could just wrap it with my fingers, but I don't because I like a nice tight loop. So this one's going to have a big neck on it. So I just start wrapping around until I get down to that button. And I'm keeping the wraps real close together. Pulling them tight, making sure my triangle's good, and then I go in with my wire cutter and snip it off, and then take my pliers and get that. You probably can't see that little tiny tail. I'll do some with I'll do some with 20 gauge wire so you can see it a little better. And if your loop is like flopping all over, don't worry about it because you can fix all that once you get everything in place. All right, there we go. Whoops, it's a little crooked there. Let's get it straightened up. And so now you've got that. What you eating, Mike? I'm starving. When I finish here, I've got to get labels on packages and out on the front porch so the carrier will pick them up. And then I got to go work in the garden. Mimi, I've got a package for you going out. All right, so there we go. There's a piece of jewelry with the purple and green. Oh, cheese, tomato, and ham. That sounds heavenly. My tomatoes are starting to come on in my garden, and my zucchini, and I have peppers. Everything's starting to come on. And so these little beads will, spin around. But there you go. There's a little dangle. You could put that inside a journal, outside a journal. All right, let's do one with let's do one with some just copper and maybe some 20 gauge wire. Where'd my 20 gauge go? $26.20. Here's the 20 gauge wire. So this one's a lot thicker. And what I'm going to do on this one is wrap the pieces individually. Okay, so ooh, fresh basil. I didn't plant any this year, and I love to make pesto and freeze it. So I'm just going to make a little loop like I did before. Hang on to it, bend it up so it stays in place. And I'm going to wrap these individually. And copper is real cheap, so I don't worry about, having extra copper to cut off. I'm going to put one of these are little copper nuggets. Whoops, I sent one flying. Nope. Basil isn't a garnish. Let's put, okay, I'm going to put this copper piece. Come on, go in there. All right, so this is a little triangle. And I'm going to put another one of these on top. Oh my gosh, yeah, you've had it in foods, I guarantee you. If you eat spaghetti, you've had basil. It's used a lot in Italian. Have you ever had anything made with pesto sauce? That's basil. Basil and pine nuts and Parmesan cheese and olive oil all mixed together make pesto. So if you've ever had pasta with pesto sauce, you've had basil. I'm not a big fan of it like in a salad, the flavor all by itself. It just um I don't know, just not my thing. Okay, so you see I did the same thing there. I've got the spiral at the bottom, I've got the wrapped loop up here, and I'm going to cut it. And then I'm going to push that. I don't know if you can see. Come on. Can you see that little end sticking out there? You don't want that sticking out because it'll catch on stuff. It's sharp. So you just take your pliers and kind of push it in till it blends in, and then it's gone. Okay, it's blended in. So there's one. I already got that one. I'm going to make these really quick because I want to show you what we'll do with it. Yeah, you've had it in stuff, but maybe not. If you've ever had a pizza, a lot of times those white pizzas will have basil and tomato and garlic on them with a white sauce. And if you've never had a white pizza, oh my gosh, you don't know what you're missing. All right, so here's the next one. I probably don't need quite as much as I did on that last one. All right, I've got this little copper piece, and I'm going to do the same thing. Put a little bead top and bottom. How many of you have made beaded journal jewelry? It's fun to make. Now that little spiral's a little wonky on there. I want it centered a little more, so I'll just center it a little more. You have made it? Okay. Is this all looking familiar? Except that I don't use head pins or eye pins. I use just plain wire. Oh, I can show you how to make an eye pin too. That's really easy. All right. So I've got this. And the nice thing about wrapping them like this is they will not come undone. There is a way just to kind of loop it over and make a little, circle up there, but then you can open it. And the problem with that is that sometimes those will come undone. All right, I've got a tiny, tiny little tail here, so I'm just gonna finesse it in there. Carol, you still taking notes? So I'm just wrapping these individually, and then you'll see what we do with it. All right. And then on this next one, so I will make this one an eye pin because I need it. I probably should have done the middle one too. And the eye pin is really, really easy. Oops, I need to stop off the end. So the way you make an eye pin is you just take however big you want your loop, you put that on your you know, the side of your pliers because they're gradual. Yeah, and if you want to get on a private session with me and I can watch you and tell you what you're doing, so you're just going to turn that over till you make a P. Okay, that's how we started the spiral. You're just going to make a P, then you're going to put the tip of the pliers inside of that P and then push it up so that it's centered on there. You see that? I don't quite have it centered, but I can make it centered. There you go. Now you have an eye pin. No sense paying good money for those things. You can make your own. So this one and this one and this one. Now we could leave these all as individual dangles, or we could hook them all together. Should we leave them as individuals or should we hook them? Now I'm doing the same thing. I'm just putting the very end of my pliers, make a 90-degree angle, turn it over, put the pliers right in the crook where that 90-degree is, bend the wire over, rotate the pliers, and continue, and you get that little loop with that tail hanging out. Now I like to hold it with the tail coming out the bottom side towards me. You can wrap it whatever way is comfortable for you, but this is what works best for me. And with this thicker wire, I definitely use the pliers to turn it. I just like using the pliers to wrap the wire because, and then I'm going to find that little tail. Especially when you're making jewelry, you definitely want to tuck in that little tail, because if you're making earrings, you don't want it to, you know, rub up against somebody's neck and scratch them. All right, and then you just adjust your piece as needed. All right, so I've got these 3 little loops and I want to hook them together. Now, one way I can do it, this little eye pin that I made, one of those sides is open. It's over here. So what I'm going to do, and this is how you open jump rings as well. Okay, you never want to take something like this. Oh, come on. I'm sorry, you guys. I hate this camera. You never want to take something like this and just pull it out to the side, because you'll deform that loop and you'll never get it back again. So what you do is you hold the side of the loop, hold your piece, and you twist it either up or down. See how I twisted that down? And now I can put my piece on it and twist it back again. So I can take one of these pieces. Okay, they're hanging on there now. And then I can take that part that's twisted down and just twist it right back up again. And that closes the loop and it keeps it shaped like a loop. Okay? And then you have dangles like that. The other way, now I don't have an open loop to do that with. I have a spiral and I have a wrapped end. So the other way you can do it is put a jump ring in between. Or you could put a bulb pin in there and make it really interesting. You know what else I've used on these sometimes are lobster claws. Okay, close up that jump ring just like we closed up the eye pin. And look at that angle. That's a nice long one. That you could, pretty copper, so you could take that apart and use the 3 pieces separately. You could leave it all long, use 2 and 1, whatever you want to do. Those all come apart. Okay? You guys like the copper? You guys like that copper? All right. What next? What shall we do next? What color? These are just trash pieces of little copper. What color next? Yeah, that is pretty, isn't it? So and you see how fast they are. Once you, I mean, I'm stopping to give direction, but once you get the hang of it, and then I'm just going to put a little jump ring at the top so that we can hang it and it will still dangle. And again, that's a very long one, but that's okay. You may want a long one on your spine. All right. So there we go. Then I'm going to go ahead and put that on a bulb pin because that's what I'm doing with all of them so I can hang them up. They may not stay on the bulb pin, but there it is. Some jewelry for the journal. And then for those of you who weren't here, we made a beachy one the first time. We used a little turtle and sunflower and a couple of beads in between. And then we made this purple and green one. Oops, I'm getting off camera. I need to pull this more towards me so I don't get off camera. And I've got it down pretty low because these are small. You can certainly attach them to ribbon. I could take a piece of ribbon and put behind, you know, or I could put, you can do whatever you want with it. You could put fabric on it. You could do whatever. So like if I took this, where are my scissors? If I took this and just tore off a piece and then rough it up real good. Now you could put a ribbon at the top and just a little tiny piece and attach the dangle, or you could put this bulb pin right through that fabric and you could put lace or whatever you wanted to put. But look at that now. That might be a little long. I probably have to tear off some more, but look at that. Isn't that fun? Just like that. You know, this one would look pretty too behind the copper because it's real matchy-matchy with these beads, but sorry to say beans. With these beads, but what if we put it... Oops, I put it on the wrong way. I guess it helps if you put the color towards the beads. Yeah, it does match nicely, but then look at this. It's not as long, but that's actually kind of cool too, just to have a piece hanging behind it. Isn't that pretty with the... So yeah, you can put whatever you want. All right, which color shall we do next? Let's do... Ooh, how about... I've got an idea. I need to find something to go with this. So I've got this great big heart. Now we could just do the heart all by itself, or, whoops, I am so sorry, you guys. I keep hitting. We could do, I have some seed beads in here. Oh, I do. They're all at the bottom. There's some pretty green beads. Let's do this. Let me jump up and get some seed beads real quick. Hey, you guys, I ordered a new pair of flip-flops for the season. Did you guys see my Facebook post? All right, I think I see what I want to use. How about even better? I know, isn't that cool with that? So here's a heart, and I want to hang it from some seed beads, or what about these little off-white pearls? Wouldn't that be cool? Real classy looking. Very, very classy looking. So I'm going to get my copper wire again. I don't think 20 gauge is going to go through those little pearls. Maybe it will. I don't mind using 20. It's a little stiffer to work with, but it's also stiffer. So if you're good, and 22 is kind of, it's in between 20 and 24. So if you can find 22, that would be good too. But yeah, see, this 20 gauge won't even fit through these pearls. So sometimes you're constrained by the size of your wire and what it will fit through. So let's do this. Let's see. Oh, I meant on my personal, those of you who are friends, I do have an Inked Pulp Facebook page, and I encourage you to go look at it, because I'm doing some things on there. I'm going to start posting, oh, I found a new freebie site. It is to die for. And she's got some, I mean, she has amazing freebies, and she has some that are, I'm just forming a little heart here. She has some that are for commercial use, so you can make stuff and actually sell them, but they're all free. You can download all of them free. And maybe I'll bring it up here in a minute and show you. And all she asks is that if you use her stuff in commercial, for commercial use, that you go to the Ko-fi site and just make a donation, buy her a coffee for however much you want to. But she suggested $5, but that's certainly worth it when you see what she has. Okay, whoops, I just pulled my heart apart. So you see what I'm doing here? I'm just making a little heart. I'm just forming this, but I screwed it up. Um, and maybe this isn't going to work. Yeah, that's not going to work. I need more time and not under the gun to do that. So let's just put, I was going to put a little wire heart beneath it. Yeah, I'm just Cheryl Provost Foils on Facebook, my personal account, and I do take friend requests from a lot of people in the community. And then I have a Facebook page that I'm just kind of getting going. But it is Inked Pulp. All right. Now, the other thing you can do is just make like a messy wrap down here. If you want it just really kind of messy, you can do that. You can do whatever you want with the metal. All right, so there we go. A spiral with a little tail sticking out the top. And now what I'm going to do here is my wire cutters. I make this kind of long. So I'm going to put this on here. Now this hole is really big and the little pearls will fall down in there. So I need to find a little something something. And this little heart is brass, but I don't have my brass stuff out. I just have copper. So I'm going to put copper on there. Nope, that doesn't work. It doesn't sit right. I've got all these little copper. Hang on, let me find one. Oh, that's good. Okay, there we go. See there? So we got the spiral coming out the end. We've got the brass there, and then I'm just going to start stringing on some of these pearl beads. And we'll make it a little classy pearl. Now this wire fits through here just fine, where the other wire, the 20 gauge, would not fit. So I'm just putting those on there. Oh, this is going to be a pretty one. Purty, purty. You're home. All right, is that enough, or should I put, well, that's just 4. I got to have odd numbers. So there's 5. Is that enough? I think that's enough. I like it a lot. Now, the only thing you have to be careful of, so I have this spiral down here, and if I pull too hard at the top, that spiral is gonna, it's gonna start pulling on that spiral and taking it apart. So you just have to be a little careful. Again, in the 90-degree turn, bend it over, twist the pliers, bend again. When I first started, I never thought I would ever get, yep, see, you have to kind of figure out what works for you, what feels natural for you. Like I said, for me, holding the loop with the wire coming out the bottom, so I'm going to be wrapping this way. That's, for me, what feels natural. For you, it may feel awkward. So you just have to practice. There we go. Now see how wonky my loop got? Come on. Focus. Focus, focus. See how wonky my loop got? That's okay, because I will just, once I get this little tail pushed in, then, now this one, I'm just going to stick the round nose pliers back in there and pull it over a little bit. And there we go. And my little tail isn't quite pushed in all the way. Not as critical on journal jewelry as it is real jewelry, because these aren't going on in person, but look at that. I love it. What do you guys think? Now I'm going to show you how to make connectors out of copper. Now for this next step, well, you could do it with 20 gauge wire. I would probably step it up a little bit and do a little heavier wire, but I might use like a 16 gauge for what I'm going to do next, but I'll do it with 20 to show you. All right, look at that. Is that not the prettiest little journal jewelry piece? It's got copper, brass, and pearls. Tell me what you think, guys. All right, let me put these back. So I'm going to take a length of 20 gauge wire, and I don't want it too long. I don't measure anything, but just a little straight piece of wire. And then I'm going to put at the largest part, way back here, at the largest part of my round nose pliers, and I'm just going to twist like we've been doing all along, and I'm going to twist until that sort of meets over here. Okay. Then I'm going to flip it. So now I have my pea sitting like this. Okay. And I'm going to grab it again at the very top. So you see what it is. The pea is facing down. Can you see that? So, and then when we twist this way, it'll go to the other side. And then I'm going to pull this around the other way. And then you have to adjust a little, just so you get it. Now, see that figure 8 loop that we just made? Now, one thing I will tell you, this end of this wire is real pointy, so I probably want to flatten that out a little by cutting it off. Same with this one. So that it lays more flush against the other wire. So now I've got it way out here. No worries. We're just going to bend it back down and bend it back down. Now, if you are putting something on here that's on a real thin piece of wire, you have to make sure that these loops are touching that main wire. Otherwise, as it, as it moves, like if I put a bulb pin on here, it would likely come off because it would sneak through that little opening. But as long as you use something a little bigger, let's use one of these grungy copper discs that I made. Okay, and we'll hang that from that with a jump ring. And then we can put a bead on the top. Do you want to put a bead on it? Now I haven't used any bead caps, but you can always put those over your beads too. All right, so just a little. Again, you're going to twist front to back on these, not pull out to the side because you'll ruin your there we go. There's just a little. Do you guys want to put a bead on this? If so, what color? Oh, bye, Susan. Oh, we're already at an hour. Let's finish this one and then we'll wrap it up. What color bead shall we put on this? Or shall we just leave it a copper dangle? What do y'all think? I've got that. That actually goes pretty well. And I can use 20 gauge on that. So let's finish this one up. We're missing a lot of people today. What's up with that? Cheryl's not here. She loves the long. I was just thinking if this is what I want to do, but it is. It's fine. So I've got my little spiral, and you could make squares, you can do triangles, you can do just a single loop. I mean, you can put anything you want on there. So run out to the craft store and get yourself some beaded wire. I like putting things on top right before the loop. I don't know why. There's no special reason. I'm going to take another one of these little copper nuggets and just put that on top. And then, again, we're going to wrap it around, turn the pliers, finish wrapping the loop, And then, and I don't worry, at this point, I don't worry at all about what which way things are facing or any of that, because you can fix all that once you get it wrapped. Oops, stay in there. And sometimes when you're holding that top loop, it gets all wonky. Can you guys see what I'm doing, or is it all blurry? Has this whole thing been blurry? I hope not. All right. So again, I'm going to cut off and push in that tail. Now I'm going to align everything. And I am going to, since I made this the spiral, that's what I was thinking about. Did I want just like an eye pin to attach this, or no, this piece? But we're going to use, so that it's all facing the same way, I'm going to use this jump ring. And then again, jump ring, hold it on both sides with your pliers and pull one side towards you. Doesn't matter. Well, it depends on which side is facing back. See, I know I didn't get that closed all the way. You shouldn't really see a gap in there, and you can just kind of keep going back and forth, pushing in just a little bit if they're too far apart until you get them flush. And you really shouldn't be able to see the seam much. But there we go. There is another one done. I could sit here all day and do this. A bit blurry, but mostly good. Okay. I hate that it's somewhat blurry. All right, let's look at all the pieces that we created. We created this one. And this one. Oh, I didn't put a bulb pin on that one. We did this one and then added the okay. This is on backwards. How did I get that? Oh, it went over. Then we did this one. And I'm going to bring you down real close here once I get them all laid out. So in an hour, with me explaining, we created all of these. So you can do it very, very quickly. Okay, there's the ones that we created. Now I have the other ones over here that I did, but let me bring you down really close. And there you go. So you can see all the different ones that we put together today. 2, 4, we did 5 of them. How many people do we have in here? 8. Would one of you guys like to win one of these little junk jewelry or journal jewelry? If you would, please enter a number between 1 and 12, and I will send it out free of charge. Enter a number 1 to 12. Number 1 to 12. Maybe you don't want any of the junk jewelry. Big Mama picked 12. You would have loved my sister's bead stash. Oh my gosh. Does she still have them? Does she want to sell them? We do good work. Are you going to put in a number, Carol? Do you want to win one of these? Because if nobody else puts in a number, then Big Mama's going to win by default. And Mike, I don't mind sending something over to the UK. That is fine. It will fit in a very small envelope. All right. We're down to 5. Okay. Well, Big Mama, it looks like you're the only one. Oh, Carol put in 7. Anybody else? Last call. I'm going to put in the stop. All right. So since we only had 2, Big Mama, which one would you like? Oh, wow. I'm sorry to hear that she passed away. If you ever run across them, let me know. I'd work out a deal with you to buy them. A, B, C. This one here? Is that the one you want? I know, but I didn't pick a number. Big Mama put hers in first, so I'm gonna let her pick first. Carol, I'm gonna give away 2 since there were only 2 of you. So this is Big Mama's. What would you like? Which one? We've got that purple and green. We've got this fun copper one with the fabric on it, the heart, the beachy one. Which one, Carol? Carol must have bad leg. Okay, I'm gonna wait for her to come in and tell me. Big Mama, I think you have an order with me, but it's real small right now, so I haven't invoiced you. But I'm gonna put this in your box. I'm not gonna send it out right away. And the same thing with Carol. You've got an order with me, so I will, stick it in your order. But oh, doggone it, I hit that again. When it's really low, it's hard not to hit it. Okay, Carol, the one with the fabric. Okay, so this one is Carol's. All right, and I get to keep these. Yay! And make more. Was that what's a great idea? I got you for this one, Carol. The copper and the fabric, and then I got Big Mama for the other one. What's a great idea, Big Mama? Did you guys enjoy this session with making? We had a real small crowd today, but that's all right. They're coming in really late. But I got you. Put it in your box. Okay. Yeah, you're coming in. It's like you have a big lag with your posts going out. I see them, but not right away. All right, folks. Well, I'm going to end this. I hope you enjoyed it. It was something different. Oh, let me show you the one thing I did on yesterday's, because you guys weren't here in the beginning. So you remember we made this. Let me go up just a little bit here. Up and back. The only thing I did is I put the twine down here because I had it up here, but it was so top heavy with friends, the lace, the heart, and then twine on top of it. It was just too top heavy. So I tied the lace around, or the twine around the bottom, but I just think it gives it a little extra something something. All right, that's it for today. I'll see you guys later. And Carol, if you ever want to do a private session to learn more or, have me watch you make them and help you, I'm happy to do that. Just let me know. Everybody have a great day. You know I love you all, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.